everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a brand new story set in the world of My Hero Academia, titled Singularity and the Mystery of Quirks. In this video, we'll explore the journey of a young woman born with an extraordinary power, the ability to give other people quirks. But in a world where power is currency and history is written by the victors, her gift quickly becomes both a blessing and a curse. What happens when someone who can change the balance of power enters a society that thrives on control and status? Let's find out together. Content warning. This story contains some nudity and mild violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
Burning every lie, breaking every mask. Heroes, villains, just two sides of a lie. And I'm the glitch they can't classify. Giving course to those they've thrown away. Balancing the scale in my own way. My own way. Muscles and wisdom, all much just a clown. While the world keeps spinning, I wear the shadow crown.
Beneath the sun-scorched sands of Egypt, hidden deep within the earth, an underground laboratory thrummed with the low hum of machines too advanced for the surface world to comprehend. In this hidden sanctum, where black steel met glowing violet circuitry, a man stood alone, bald, bespectacled, and crowned with an enormous, bushy mustache. Dr. Garaki's eyes reflected the flickering data streaming across his tablet, his expression one of sharp, aging frustration. Before him, suspended in two neat rows of 5, floated 10 humanoid bodies in thick, transparent capsules filled with faintly luminescent violet fluid. The bodies, split evenly between men and women, were completely nude, yet there was nothing sexual about their stillness. They were not human. Not anymore. Not in any meaningful sense. Some had pale skin, others brown, and one stood out more than the rest. A female form with dark violet skin and snow-white hair, like a ghost trapped in ink. Dr. Garaki sighed through his nose, long and slow. 8 of the 10 were already failing. Again, he tapped a shaky finger against the tablet, trying to make sense of the vitals. Heart rate, neural resonance, cellular quirk compatibility. The same result, over and over. Most bodies couldn't withstand the all-for-one quirk. Even with decades of trial, he was no closer to understanding why. It's not biological, he muttered almost to himself. Not physical either. No genetic markers, no consistent flaw, no statistical logic. It's chaos. The frustration burned through him. He had spent a lifetime unraveling the laws of this new warped world. And now it laughed at him. Still, 2 survived. 1 male, 1 female, the pale-haired, violet-skinned specimen. They showed signs of stabilizing, strong readings, high compatibility. He should have been celebrating, but instead, he called the only person who mattered. From his pocket, he pulled a sleek communicator. On its screen, a single contact. FO. He pressed it. A ripple of black ichor twisted into the room moments later, a slithering, snarling mass of dimensional space. From it stepped Lady Shigaraki, the current bearer of All for One, her presence thick with menace and charisma. Beside her came Aaron Snow, her husband, eyes gleaming with curiosity as they laid eyes on the 2 floating weapons-to-be. Lady Shigaraki didn't speak at first. She only stared, entranced. These 2, they could wield her power. But Dr. Garaki's warning came quickly, cutting through the awe. Don't assume we can do this again. I don't know why these 2 survived. I've replicated everything, environment, genetics, timelines, and yet nothing lines up. I can't pinpoint the survival factor. It's beyond us, beyond science. Lady Shigaraki's smile flickered with unease. Then it began. The ground rumbled, at first softly, then violently. The lab's reinforced walls shuddered and the light pulsed unnaturally. The room twisted, not in shape, but in perception. Like reality itself had begun to bend. The floor pulsed like a heartbeat. The air shimmered like heat over asphalt. Everyone in the lab staggered. Dr. Garaki clutched the side of a capsule. Aaron Snow hit his knees. Lady Shigaraki's eyes widened, her breath catching. In the cities above, people screamed as buildings rippled like reflections in water. Across the desert, skies flickered. The world itself glitched. And then it came. Rainbow light. A wave of prismatic energy cascading over everything. For one fleeting second, it was beautiful. Holy, even. The last thing Lady Shigaraki saw before her world collapsed into unconsciousness was the purple glowing lab submerged in colorless chaos. Then, nothing. Even the most powerful being of her era could not stand against this. Lady Shigaraki was the first to awaken. Her crimson eyes snapped open with a faint glow, unfazed by the metallic scent and sterile atmosphere around her. She slowly stood up, her nearly 2-meter tall form stretching like someone waking from a deep, peaceful slumber, rather than an unexpected blackout. Her snow-white hair was slightly tousled, and she rubbed the back of her neck before rotating her shoulders with a subtle crack. "That was one hell of a nap," she muttered, her voice rough and low. A few seconds later, Aaron Snow stirred beside her. He groaned, shook his head, then blinked in confusion. The hell just happened? Dr. Garaki was next. The aging scientist pushed himself up from the floor, his bushy mustache twitching with unease as his large glasses reflected the dim purple lights of the lab. Lady Shigaraki didn't answer immediately. Her gaze moved to the Nomu tanks. Nothing looked out of place. No damage, no breach. But she knew better. The storm, the feeling, she had experienced it before. Aaron looked at her sharply. "Don't just stare, Shiga. Was that what I think it was?" Dr. Garaki adjusted his glasses, still on the floor. "It can't be." Lady Shigaraki nodded, her tone flat but serious. "Yeah, that was the Rainbow Storm." Aaron's eyes widened. "The Rainbow Storm? The origin of Quirks? That thing?" Lady Shigaraki exhaled slowly and shrugged. "I don't know what the fuck it is exactly, Aaron. I've been alive a long-ass time, and I still don't have a damn clue. But I've felt it once before, 2 centuries ago, and it lit the goddamn match that set off the Quirk Age." Dr. Garaki furrowed his brow. "But we've always believed it was a natural phenomenon, like a cosmic anomaly. We never found proof of its origin." "Yeah, and we still haven't." She cut in. 200 years and not a single fucking answer. You think that's frustrating for you? I've spent decades digging. Weather records, cosmic radiation, particle theory, dimensional fuckery, magic bullshit, you name it. Nothing. Aaron stepped forward, an eager gleam in his eyes. "But if it's happened again, can we use it? Can we harness it somehow? If it created quirks once?" Lady Shigaraki interrupted with a glare. "Stop thinking like a greedy little shit, Aaron. We don't even know what it did this time. For all we know, the whole goddamn planet got reset, or mutated, or everyone outside this lab just turned into fucking broccoli." She looked over her shoulder and added, more serious now, "That shit is not something you control. It's chaos incarnate." Aaron didn't respond. He simply nodded, his demeanor shifting as he slipped into a battle-ready stance. Lady Shigaraki did the same, her body tensing, red eyes scanning every shadow. "I want both of you on alert," she ordered. "We have no clue what the world looks like out there right now, and whatever just happened, it will have consequences. I don't care how strong we are. When reality throws a tantrum, anyone can get bitch-slapped." Just as she finished speaking, something changed. From within the liquid chamber, the female Nomu, the one with dark violet skin and long, snow-white hair, opened her eyes, and those eyes weren't like any other. They were a dazzling turquoise, glowing faintly in the fluid as she looked around, calm and alert, not confused, not pained, just aware. Lady Shigaraki narrowed her gaze. She waited a few minutes, not moving, expecting some sudden pulse or anomaly, but nothing happened. Then she turned to Garaki. "She's awake. Open the damn pod." Dr. Garaki hesitated, then silently approached the control panel. He didn't protest. He knew well enough by now that predicting these new Nomus was like guessing the outcome of a coin toss on LSD. He pressed the button. With a hiss, the cylindrical chamber began to rise into the ceiling. The viscous purple liquid drained away as the Nomu woman stepped onto the floor, naked, tall, lean, with an apathic expression and turquoise eyes that took in everything with eerie stillness. She stood unsteady at first, but made no sound. Her gaze moved slowly across the lab, stopping briefly on each of them. Garaki, Aaron, and finally Lady Shigaraki. The silence thickened. Only her eyes moved. Lady Shigaraki's red irises met her daughter's turquoise ones, and in that moment, she knew this was no ordinary Nomu. This was something else entirely. Something new. Lady Shigaraki's crimson eyes narrowed slightly as she examined the Nomu before her. Her gaze swept slowly from the top of the pale, white-haired head down the strangely elegant curve of violet skin, over the lean limbs and still, poised stance. The Nomu did not move, only blinked, then continued to observe the room with those haunting turquoise eyes. Something's off, Lady Shigaraki thought. Too still? But not in the usual Nomu way. There's awareness behind those eyes. Hey, she barked, her voice sharp like gravel grinding against steel. Kneel. The Nomu dropped to its knees without hesitation, perfectly obedient. Stand. Again, it followed without resistance. Aaron Snow still leaned back against the wall with crossed arms, raised an eyebrow. Well, that confirms the loyalty part. Lady Shigaraki didn't respond. Her expression had gone cold and calculating. Why does this feel wrong? She wondered, stepping forward. She raised her hand and placed 2 fingers gently against the Nomu's throat, right over where the core of its power would sit. Closing her eyes, she extended her will inward, into the very fabric of the being before her. She was searching for one thing. All for one. She found it. But it wasn't right. What the hell? She muttered under her breath. The core was there. She could see it. Familiar and unmistakable. But instead of the smooth, familiar stability she knew like her own breath, the Quirks structure was shifting, warping ever so subtly with each second. The power inside her daughter was alive in a way it shouldn't be. Lady Shigaraki reached in mentally to touch the Quirk, and then felt it push back. It was like trying to grasp a wet eel wrapped in barbed wire. An unseen force coiled around the Quirk like smoke and iron, repelling her, denying her. She grit her teeth, trying again. Why can't I steal it? She whispered, anger creeping into her voice. Is it because it's mine, a copy of my own? Dr. Garaki, who had been scribbling notes furiously, looked up. Could it be a paradox? 2 all-for-ones in perfect conflict? Lady Shigaraki turned her gaze to the other tank, the second Nomu. The moment the fluid drained and the column opened, the second Nomu simply stood there, completely motionless, lifeless, eyes dull. It didn't react to commands. It didn't breathe deeply. It didn't even blink. Useless, Lady Shigaraki growled. She approached it, raised her hand, and pushed her will into the core of that Nomu. This time, there was no resistance. She stole the Quirk. A strange pressure echoed through her bones. Her skin tingled, and something deep inside her core shuddered. Lady Shigaraki gasped slightly. Then she smiled. Oh, now that's new. What happened? Aaron asked, suddenly more alert. Lady Shigaraki cracked her neck and rolled her shoulder as red energy flickered across her fingertips. It merged. My original all-for-one fused with this second one. Slight mutation. Can't say what it does yet, but it's good. I feel it. She didn't wait for more discussion. She turned to a nearby Nomu assistant. Dispose of that thing. She pointed to the broken one. Trash like that doesn't belong in my lab. Then she turned her crimson eyes back to the violet-skinned Nomu. You, come. The girl followed. Good. Lady Shigaraki grabbed a folded set of clothes from a table. Tight black combat pants, a sleeveless white top, boots, and a long hoodie. Nothing frilly, nothing cute. Just something to stop the girl from wandering around butt naked. Put these on. I don't need your ass flopping around while I'm working. The Nomu dressed, clumsily but effectively, and then tilted her head, looked at Lady Shigaraki, then looked at the walls, then at Aaron. She blinked again, curious, alert. That's new, Lady Shigaraki muttered. She's not just standing there anymore, she's watching. She learning? Aaron asked. Lady Shigaraki didn't answer. Instead, she led the girl, her daughter, down the corridor to a nearby observation room. Inside, books, blocks, basic mechanical puzzles, a few children's toys. Not exactly a nursery, but enough to test something important. She gave no command. The Nomu hesitated at the doorway, then walked in. She looked at the books, touched them, turned one over, picked up a block, turned it in her hand, dropped it, picked it up again. Her turquoise eyes scanned the room with a quiet focus. She's learning, Lady Shigaraki said aloud, almost to herself. Still following your commands? Aaron asked cautiously. Oh yeah, she replied, not taking her eyes off the girl. No rebellion, no delay, but she's doing things I didn't tell her to. Dr. Garaki approached from the back of the room, peering through the glass with fascination. She's developing an ego, a sense of self. Lady Shigaraki muttered. This wasn't supposed to happen. Nomas don't develop. They follow. Aaron stepped beside her. She turned slightly, her voice sharp again. Girl, come here. The Nomu looked up, moved over, and stood beside her mother. Lady Shigaraki rested a hand gently on her shoulder. Not out of affection, out of curiosity. Let's see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Time passed in silence and observation. First, a few days, then weeks. A full month slipped by. Lady Shigaraki stood before her daughter, her precious, irritating experiment, and narrowed her eyes. The Nomu remained perfectly healthy, physically at least. No mutations, no rejection symptoms, no degradation. But the quirk, whatever it was, hadn't stabilized, hadn't even awakened properly. No matter how often Lady Shigaraki commanded, kneel, stand, use your quirk. The pale, violet-skinned Nomu would follow the first two without hesitation, but at the third she only shook her head, slow and unsure. I can't, the girl mouthed silently, her eyes wide, lips not quite forming words. For frustration built like static under Lady Shigaraki's skin. She had tried everything, demanding, threatening, scanning, even attempting to use all for one to steal or analyze the quirk directly. Nothing worked. The quirk didn't allow her in. No reaction, no interface. Worse, it resisted her. Not just passively, but aggressively. Lady Shigaraki could feel the repulsion like a magnetic field, growing stronger every time she approached it. A violent pressure pushed her back mentally, like her own essence was being rejected by something fundamentally opposite. This is like gravity, she muttered, watching her daughter from behind a reinforced glass panel as she stood in the sterile scanning tube. No, more like anti-gravity, a polar force. Dr. Garaki hunched at the console nearby, adjusted his glasses, and scrolled through the genetic structure overlays on the screen. You're right. It's not one for all. Don't flatter yourself, he rasped. But it is the antithesis to all for one. The very concept of it is oppositional. Your daughter's quirk is evolving into something we don't have a name for. It's resisting me like I'm poison. Because you are? Lady Shigaraki didn't reply. Her nails scraped the edge of the table. What does it do? I don't know yet, but I can tell you what it doesn't do. It doesn't belong to you, and it doesn't want to. The Nomu, still nameless, blinked at them from inside the scanning chamber. Only her head protruded, the rest of her body locked in by mechanical arms and invisible sensors. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she felt something. A shift, a tension. Lady Shigaraki's displeasure was like thunder in her stomach. She knew she'd made her mother angry, but she didn't know why. When the scan ended, she quickly slipped back into her clothes, visibly anxious, and shuffled to Lady Shigaraki's side. Her glowing turquoise eyes searched her mother's face for approval, but none came. You need to try harder, do you hear me? Lady Shigaraki's voice cracked like a whip. You don't just get to exist. You were created for a reason. The Nomu winced and shook her head again, eyes downcast. I don't know how, her expression said louder than words. Then, it happened. Her eyes flared, just for a moment, with iridescent color, shimmering in fleeting hues like oil on water. A rainbow surge. Then, Lady Shigaraki gasped and stiffened. What? A strange sensation bloomed in her chest and fingertips. For less than half a second, she felt a new quirk surge through her body. Something chaotic, alien, fleeting, like a hallucination with texture. It vanished. Her head snapped toward her daughter. You, she hissed, grabbing her by the shoulders and slamming her gently but firmly against the nearest wall. That was you. You activated something. The girl's eyes were wide with fear. She didn't understand what she'd done. You gave me a quirk. Lady Shigaraki smiled with something between madness and awe. That's it. That's what you are. Dr. Garaki's voice came slowly. A quirk that bestows quirks. Not like one for all, no transfer, no inheritance. She creates them. Randomly. Temporarily. With permission. She needed me to be open to it, Lady Shigaraki whispered, gripping her daughter's face. She gave me something just because she wanted to. The girl trembled. Then you deserve a name, Lady Shigaraki said at last. Luna Snow. That's who you are. The Nomu blinked, processing, then gave a slow, silent nod. From that moment, the tests began. 3 full days. Controlled experiments, one after another. The result, Luna Snow could bestow temporary quirks, but only with the consent of the target. She could not choose what kind of quirk it was, and each manifestation lasted mere seconds. But it was real, authentic, untraceable, powerful. Lady Shigaraki was ecstatic. Her mood was so generous that she allowed Luna something none of her other Nomu had ever experienced. Go outside, she said, folding her arms. See the world. You're my daughter, not some mutt in a cage, but act like a normal girl. Luna stared up at her, uncertain. It'll take time, Lady Shigaraki said with a sigh. Fine, 3 weeks. We teach you how to walk, how to talk, how to act like a 16-year-old. I want innocence. I want obedience. but you will smile when I tell you to. Luna learned, slowly, painfully. She remained mute, but adapted to the role she was given. By the 7th week of her life, she could walk with grace, bow with modesty, and stare at strangers without triggering alarms. Then came the day. Cairo. The golden streets and blinding sun filled her vision as she stepped through the doors of the laboratory for the first time. Her heart pounded. What is this place? She thought, eyes wide. So many people, sounds, colors. Why is the air so dry? Is this freedom? No, this is a test. I have to be perfect. Her thoughts flowed in panic and wonder. Don't mess up. Don't make her angry. Step left. Smile. Not too much. Look down, now up. Act normal. What is normal? A child giggled nearby and Luna flinched. Are they dangerous? What if I look too long? What if I fail? But then a breeze passed through her white hair and she looked up at the sky. Endless, blue, free. So big. I want to understand it. I want to know everything. But first, I have to survive. Don't make her angry. Cairo shimmered in the warm sunlight like a dream carved from golden sand and living colors. The streets bustled with life. Humans, mutants, and hybrids of every imaginable kind, weaving their lives together under the ever-watchful sun. Quirks danced in the air like whispers of individuality. A man with glass wings, a woman with flowing, metallic hair, a child who skipped 3 meters high with every bound. So many strange and beautiful beings. Luna Snow Shigaraki followed stiffly behind her mother, her steps careful, measured, like each one could trigger a landmine. Her violet skin glistened subtly in the light, the smooth, oiled sheen catching brief reflections of the city around her. Snow-white hair framed her face like porcelain silk, and her turquoise eyes flicked from one person to the next, wide and full of awe. Why do they all look so different? So happy? So alive? How are they not afraid to be seen? Her thoughts swirled as she walked. Is this normal? Is this what the world is like? It's beautiful. She glanced up at the towering skyline, the crumbling historic mosques that clashed against sleek modern towers. The scents, roasted nuts, cinnamon, metal, and exhaust, washed over her like music. This was nothing like the lab. This was freedom, or at least the shadow of it. Then her eyes locked onto something, a glowing neon sign. A gelato stand, and behind the glass, colors, pinks, reds, creams, swirls. Her eyes lit up, a flash of pure, childlike wonder stealing across her face for the first time in her short life. But she said nothing. Her gaze dropped. Her hands clenched the hem of her shirt. No, don't ask. That's selfish. You'll make her angry. Just walk. Just behave. Don't ruin it. Lady Shigaraki, tall and graceful in a loose white coat and sharp sunglasses, turned casually to glance back. You want some ice cream? She asked, voice calm and unfazed. Luna blinked, a deer caught in headlights. I'm fine, she whispered. I'm just happy to walk. Really. Lady Shigaraki chuckled, then casually flicked her daughter's forehead with 2 fingers. Idiot. If you want something, say it. I'm not gonna bite. It's Cairo. We're out. You're allowed to live a little. Luna's face warmed with embarrassment. Her hands tightened nervously in front of her chest. I'd like strawberry, she said, barely more than a murmur. Lady Shigaraki raised an eyebrow. Louder, Luna. I'd like strawberry, please, Luna repeated, a little stronger this time, her turquoise eyes shimmering. A small nod of approval came from her mother. Good girl. See, that wasn't hard. Luna followed her mother toward the stand, still shy, but a small, real smile tugging at her lips. Her shoulders relaxed ever so slightly. So this is what it feels like, to want something, to ask for it, and to get it. The city around her blurred slightly as her focus shifted inward. Maybe it's okay to exist like this, just a little longer. And with her first bite of cold, sweet strawberry on her tongue, Luna Snow Shigaraki tasted the outside world. And for a moment, it didn't taste like fear. Luna Snow Shigaraki stood still, the strawberry gelato slowly melting across her tongue as she watched the world unfold around her. Families laughed in the shade of cafe umbrellas. A child with a balloon-like body floated up before being gently tugged back down by his mother. A couple danced in the open, one partner leaving trails of glowing mist with every step. Everything around her pulsed with color and motion. Quirks, powers, differences on full display. Then her eyes caught something that didn't fit. In a narrow side alley, hidden just enough to avoid attention, but not enough to escape hers, a man slammed another against the wall. The victim was older, frail, clearly struggling. His clothes were worn, his expression tight with fear. "You damn quirkless piece of trash," the thug snarled, gripping the man's collar with one arm, the other crackling faintly with an electrical charge. "What gives you the right to walk here like you matter?" "I didn't mean," the older man tried to speak, voice shaky. "You think we should share the streets with rats like you?" Luna's gelato dropped to the ground. Her body moved before her thoughts could catch up. She stepped forward, fists clenched. "Leave him alone," she said quietly. The thug turned to her, amused. "Huh? Who the hell are you?" Luna didn't respond. She stepped closer, and then, without warning, her fist shot forward. The hit slammed into his stomach like a cannonball, and he stumbled backward into the brick wall, wheezing. But he didn't stay down. With a growl, he pushed himself up, wiping blood from his lip. "You little freak! You've got a quirk, huh? Think that makes you better? You want to die today?" More men appeared from the shadows. 3, maybe 4, all with similar gang tattoos, weapons on their belts, quirks humming in the air like warning sirens. The first thug cracked his neck. "Stay out of this. That guy's quirkless, worthless. He's not like us." Luna blinked, confused. "But how does that matter? He's a person." They burst into laughter. One of them stepped forward, grabbed her by the collar, and slammed her against the wall. "You serious? You really that naive?" Luna gasped, the breath knocked out of her lungs. Hands held her down. They were closing in, grinning like jackals. Then the alley went cold. A presence swept through like death itself. A single figure stepped forward. Lady Shigaraki appeared, her white coat billowing slightly in the rising tension. Her expression was unreadable behind the sunglasses. The thugs turned to look, just in time to be disarmed, beaten, and thrown to the ground within seconds. Lady Shigaraki never even removed her glasses. Her movements were precise, brutal, and elegant, a storm with no thunder. When the last man hit the floor, groaning, she adjusted her coat and turned to Luna. "Are you insane?" she said calmly, but her voice carried weight like iron. Luna slid down the wall, heart pounding. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. My body, it just moved." Lady Shigaraki's red eyes glowed faintly behind the lenses as she lowered them just enough to look over them. Her stare cut through the air like a blade. "Stand. Straight." The command hit Luna like a wave. She felt it. The urge, the almost reflexive obedience that once controlled her every nerve. But this time she resisted, just enough to know she could. She stood, shaky, but by choice. "Good," her mother said coldly. The man from earlier, the quirkless victim, stepped forward, voice trembling. "Thank you. I don't know what they would have done if..." Lady Shigaraki raised a hand without turning. "Don't thank me. You survived. That's enough." Then to Luna she said, "We're going back. Now." Luna followed in silence, heart racing, glancing back at the man only once before he faded from view. As they walked, Luna looked up timidly. Why did they call him worthless? Just because he didn't have a quirk? Her mother didn't stop walking. That, Luna, is racism. Quirk-based, status-based. The world talks about equality, but in truth, the powerful rule. The beautiful thrive, and the different, mutants, quirkless, anyone outside the mold, they suffer. Luna's fingers curled into fists again, but not to fight. This time it was to think. So this is the world we're meant to save. She kept walking beside her mother, silent now, but her mind refused to stay still. As the crimson sun dipped behind the skyline, casting long shadows through the glass panels of the laboratory, Luna Snow Shigaraki stepped into the sterile world she called home. The sharp hiss of automated doors closing behind her signaled the return to routine. Clinical, cold, and suffocatingly precise. The lab was bathed in white light, humming with machines, monitors, and containment tanks. Once more, she was immersed in quirk experiments, testing the limits of her powers, analyzing reactions, and subjecting various animals to newly created quirks. Time passed. Animals gave way to volunteers, humans without quirks, desperate for power, who agreed to be test subjects under one condition. Luna Snow would grant them permanent quirks. Analysis revealed her true ability, an accumulation quirk. Over time, her body gathered an unseen energy, which she could mold into entirely new quirks and implant into others. But her power was deeper than that. Her mother, Lady Shigaraki, known in villainous circles as All for One, bestowed upon her two complex quirks, Mental World and Mental Calculator. Together, they fused into a powerful new ability, Mental Reality. This quirk allowed Luna Snow to enter an intensely lucid mental state, where time was irrelevant and she could simulate any scenario. Here, she tested her self created quirks in a dreamlike realm, measuring their strengths, limits, and side effects before unleashing them in the real world. But Luna Snow kept a secret from her mother. She had total control over the quirks she created, not only the powers themselves, but also their weaknesses. Silently, she experimented, crafting drawbacks of varying intensity and hiding her mastery behind false trial and error. She let her mother believe that she struggled to reduce the side effects, when in truth, she could manipulate them with surgical precision. This deception was key to her long-term plan, weakening Lady Shigaraki. Over years, Luna Snow subtly supplied her mother with various quirks. Each one came with carefully hidden flaws, stacking layer upon layer of negative effects. She disguised these drawbacks with triggers, conditions that wouldn't activate unless she willed them to. She couldn't rely on quirk incompatibility. Lady Shigaraki's unique physiology made her immune to such conflicts thanks to the original all-for-one quirk. In a normal body, Luna Snow might have caused chaos by mixing opposing powers, but with her mother, her only hope lay in the stealthy deployment of side effects. Years passed, and then, unexpectedly, Lady Shigaraki fell in love with Hisashi Midoriya. Their union produced a child, a girl named Izuka Midoriya. The hardened villainess changed. She became more compassionate toward Luna Snow, showing small moments of warmth and even maternal affection. It made Luna hesitate, only for a moment. 6 years later, the opportunity came. Lady Shigaraki, all for one, engaged all might in a legendary battle. While the world watched, Luna Snow acted. Standing alone in a quiet corner of the lab, her eyes glowing softly with crimson and violet light, she whispered a single mental command. Across the battlefield, every quirk she had ever granted her mother vanished, erased in an instant, stripped from her body with a thought. A whisper of power. A lifetime of preparation. And with that, Luna Snow Shigaraki fled into the night, leaving behind the woman who raised her, the child she called sister, and the legacy of manipulation she had quietly crafted for years. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, don't forget to leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're curious what comes next, check out my newest video right here on the left. You can also explore the full playlist over on the right. And right up top, there's another video I think you'll really enjoy. See you in the next one. And remember, sometimes the strongest quirks come from the quietest voices.